Hunting Thursdays. I am David, CEO and founder of Base Intelligence, and thanks for joining. I am really excited today. We are finally releasing a feature that I've been looking forward to for weeks, if not months at this point, and that I've got a lot of people excited about that start using the platform and realizing some of the capabilities that we have. So we are releasing our tagging functionality. And you might think at first, oh, you know what, fine. That means that I need to go and add tags to stuff, or I need to know what something is ahead of time. No, not quite. So our tagging functionality, you can add tags to things, of course. That's something that exists. But what our tag functionality does is it takes advantage of our site fingerprints functionality, which automatically identifies grouped activity, identifies phishing kits, it identifies C2 portals, it identifies a whole bunch of other things. But because that happens, we can actually tag the site fingerprint, and then that automatically gets tagged on all of the things that we see going forward. So I'll just share my screen here, and we can actually walk through what that looks like. All right, let me... Okay, so we'll do this. All right, so you can hear me. Looks like you see my screen. So what this is at the top of a page when something is tagged with our tags, what you'll see when you're looking at a site fingerprint, which if you've been a user of the platform, we renamed everything that was observables are now site fingerprints. So site fingerprints, when you go and look at them, you'll be able to find out all sorts of information about when were they first seen, when were they last seen, how many times have we seen them, and then what are associated destinations. So this is a whole big attack that we're aware of. That's actually, we call it a scam in our system. So it's not exactly phishing, so we don't classify it the same, but we have this tag available. Now, if you are a paid user of Base Investigator, which Base Investigator is our UI, you can actually click in on this tag and find all of the other things that are tagged as scam. Right now, there aren't any other ones that are tagged as scam. This is something that we're building out this content as we go, but let's pick on something that does have other. Actually, we'll do this one. So you can do hunting.sitedown. Hunting.sitedown means let's go find all the indicators that indicate that the site that was analyzed by Base is actually not live. It's either down or not yet up. So we can see that these have appeared and exist for some amount of time. Some of them are more prevalent than others. Here's one that we've seen 212,000 times, whereas this one we've only seen 435 times. But all of these we can pivot into and look at more details. So we can pivot and see what are some of the associated destinations associated with that one. And so we can see a whole bunch of stuff in here. And let's just look at one just to know what it looks like. Okay, so it shows that there's nothing here yet. It's Heroku's default site down or not yet up page. So we're automatically able to capture that every time something comes through our system. We'll automatically identify that. That's actually also how we have this kind of information in the system here that I highlighted, the fact that it's currently down. So that allows us to do that, and it's really, really powerful. Inside of our platform, we have our cheat sheet, which shows all the ways that you can do things, and we have our indicator.tag, and that's what we see here. So let's just grab this one just to look at this one. We can hit search. And again, the searching functionality is available to paid users of Base Investigator. Paid users are pretty cheap, realistically. They're not the enterprise users. But but you'll see if you search for something or submit something that gets tagged, you'll see that tag on yours. So this one, we identified this site fingerprint associated with two different tags. We have CGI bin and then hunting.opendir itself. We can, again, pivot and look at that information in more detail, but let's just leave that as it is. The other thing that I wanted to highlight is I mentioned that you need to be a paid user to actually search for these things. One thing that we're doing that we really believe in, based on the things that you see in JA3 and JA4 and things like Yara and Fish Reports IOK functionality, we really believe in making the information that we find open sourced. So while you'll still need to either run something through Base or license our site fingerprint functionality for your own internal use, what you can do is get all of the information of these site fingerprints in an open source way so that you can use them for detection or prevention or hunting. So if you go over to the Base Intelligence, BAYSE Intelligence, one word, GitHub repo, you'll see there's site fingerprints. Site fingerprints, what this does is every hour it will collect all of the different fingerprints that are associated with anything in Base, anything that's public in Base. So you'll be able to see what are all of the different tags that we have associated with things. So for example, right now, and this auto updates every hour. So we have hunting, we've got CAPTCHA, not yet up, opendir, parked, site down. Let's go ahead and click on the opendir stuff. And we can see that there's a few different things that we have in here. And we've got the concept of content available. So we can look at what are the fingerprints associated with that. So this is saying, hey, there's a structural ID with this fingerprint value, and this is the associated tag that it has. And we can actually go and look at that in Base. So we make this easy so that you can just literally copy, paste, and you can go and look at it. Again, we want people to be able to use this outside of being paid customers. We just want to make it easier for paid customers to do things faster. So here we have this opendir content available. We actually also expose additional information. Our campaigns are also built on top of site fingerprints. They just have more information than tags. And that's actually something else that we've already started making automatically available. So we've got this durable IOCs repository that's again available, and it captures what are the site fingerprints, predominantly site fingerprints right now. Although as time goes on, it'd be destinations, it could be scripts, it could be all sorts of additional things. And then how do I go into Base and look at those kinds of things? So we can look at this one as an example. So we'll see, this one doesn't have a tag because we already have more information than that. We already know this is part of a campaign. And so this one is targeting Microsoft. We've seen it, 44,000 times across several months, 120 different unique destinations just in the last day. And here are some of those destinations. So this is really, really, really powerful. Again, you can have all that information available. The durable IOCs and the site fingerprints, they're both MIT open source. So that'll be available for anybody to use. You'll just need to run it through Base, through whatever account you have, or leverage our site fingerprints functionality locally. All right, so that's pretty exciting stuff. Let's actually use it to go hunt. So I wanted to actually go to the opendir content available, which it's somewhere in my browser tabs, but let's just go to directly. So we've got this, and we've seen this 3,184 times. So what this content available tag means is these are sites that when Base looked at them, they were actually open directories. So we don't know if they're bad or good. More likely than not, they're bad, but it's not a definite indicator. But here are some of those recent destinations that we've seen. So we've got all sorts of different ones. Let's go ahead and pick on, I see AWS dot on a bunch of these. let's go look at one of those. All right, so we've got aws.vmsi8.ru.com. This, as of about 45 minutes ago, was a live open directory. So what we can do is, let's see if it's still live. So I'm going to grab this and let's see if this works. Cool, it worked. I want to make sure we actually had our screen show up. So we can, this is a analysis VM that I have that's connected to a VPN that's putting me through somewhere else. And this is completely trashable. But let's go ahead and go to that potentially open directory and see what do we actually find. Okay, so it matches what we saw before. Oh, let me see how to, oh boy, how to zoom in. Oh, this is really fun. I really hate the lack of communication between VMs and live systems. Somehow the magnifier got all out of whack here. Let's see if I can. Okay. Let's see if I can actually zoom in and adjust on this. There we go. That's what I was trying to do. Okay, so we see CGI bin. This is probably 403 forbidden. Let's see what test.php looks like. So we've got upload is working, and we've got a handful of different email addresses. That could potentially be interesting. Let's just grab that as a screenshot. And we've got mo7ahmed@gmail.com. We got this mo7ahmed@hotmail.com. And then we've got at yahoo.com. So something that I just thought of that I need to add is, so as a sidebar, at some point we'll actually add that we'll automatically collect that information and make it available so that you can actually have that on hand and be able to search. The one thing that I don't have yet that would probably be useful is I don't have an easy way to take this information and then stick it in the base to look at the HTML content, which would allow us to create site fingerprints on it. But what I can do is take this, go to interpret, which is our analysis engine, and it was test.php, I believe. Yep, so let's just go ahead and submit that. So this, in theory, should give us back exactly what we just saw in our browser a second ago, but what it'll allow us to do is get the site fingerprints. All right, cool. So we didn't identify it as bad. It's not particularly surprising. This is something that's completely, atypical to what we're seeing. But what we can see, we see this kind of behavior. This actually now means we have a record of it, and we can see, are there any others that we've seen that look like this? So I clicked on the structural ID, and can we see any others? So August 26th to October 5th, we've seen 69 of these. Let's just see if there are any that are still within the range of things that we've seen. Yep, so this looks good. These probably are all off of our system already, because we only keep things that we're not sure are bad for a short amount of time. Yeah, it looks like the next one is already off. But this is one where we can actually tag it. This is a good opportunity to show you what tagging looks like. We won't actually add a tag here because I want to add a new tag for this. But what this allows us to do is show what this looks like. So I clicked on add a new tag. Again, if you're a paid user, you're able to do that. Not letting, actually, I think the plan is to let free users who actually have an account add tags, but you can only create new tags if you are a paid user who's in a special group. Threat researchers, threat intelligence teams, security researchers, etc. So anyway, what this automatically does is it captures all the different things that we have available. Here are some of the hunting. Well, here are all of the hunting ones. And we've got a bunch of other things that we have in here. So we've got known framework. This actually might be C2 portal. So actually it's hard to know. Let's tag it as C2 portal for now. I think this is actually a logical thing to do. It's kind of more of a test in this case, but what we're able to, right, because it says test.php, so maybe it's actually not a test. But what we're able to do now is we added a new tag that already existed in the system, but now we can go and see, are there any others? We, of course, don't have any others right now that are live, but we now know that anytime we see that particular behavior, we can attribute it to this known C2 portal, known framework C2 portal tag, and that allows us to identify all the other things that we've seen that match that. So that's kind of really interesting. I'm actually really excited about that. So there's going to be a bunch of work on this, and you'll see in the next hour this will show up in our site fingerprints. It'll show up under known framework C2 portal fingerprints. So right now we don't have any because this was the first one that we added, but this would be where you would see a C2 portal. So I think that's pretty cool. Okay, let's go back and see if we can find some others. So this was that result. Let's see if we can pivot back and see some others. And we've got, a bunch of these, right? So de.wpuf5.ru.com. So we're seeing this ru.com over and over again. Let's grab this one. Let's take that over. What do we see here? Same kind of behavior. Hey, what do you know? Same group. So let's grab this. Or actually, I can't copy from the host, from the guest to the host on purpose, so we don't fat finger things. Let's analyze a new URL. Let's put this one in test.php, and let's see if this one matches that tag that we just added. Hopefully it will. It seems to be the same behavior. We just haven't run the test.php through our system. So let's see. Okay, so we got WPUF-RU. We see that, and we'll see the structural ID. Hey, what do you know? It matches our known framework. So that's working as expected. That's awesome. Now we can identify that particular C2 portal, which we would probably want to name, right? So we have known framework C2 portal, but we'd want to name it something. So we'll have to figure out what to name it. But that's something where we can now identify all of those going forward, and we can actually feed those in to the system and automatically classify things. So that's really exciting. Okay, let's see if we can come back. Yeah, let's go to the content available. So this is the Open Directory general content available indicator, and let's just see what else we have. So I mean, we saw .ru.com. I'd bet that this is probably the same thing, so I'm going to not belabor the point and redo that. You can see all of these were scanned recently. See if we can find something that's a little bit different. Let's pick on this host.punycode.punycode.tld. So this looks really interesting. So let's go ahead and grab it, and actually, yeah, we'll grab it and actually look at it, because this is one that seems to have subdirectories underneath it. Okay, so we can see the Cyrillic characters in here. new-ogni55.ru. Again, it's completely possible that this VM will get owned. It's pretty isolated, so we're okay. All right, so this looks super exciting. I don't have any idea what this is. This could be something that's bad. It could be something that's not bad. But what I want to do is go back to our other view quickly. And I want to grab that. Let's submit that. And then it was new.ogni55.ru. new.ogni55.ru. I think there was a slash at the end. Okay, so in theory, if we submit this, we'll now be able to see exactly what we just saw a second ago. Depending on exactly when the screenshot happens, we might see a partial screen load that's a little bit different than what we saw there, but nonetheless, we should see the same kind of behavior here in a moment. It's possible that there are some middle issues, but hey, that looks like what the screen looked like as it was loading, so that makes sense to me. And let's actually look and see, have we seen that elsewhere? So we can, first of all, we have the structural ID site fingerprint, so that one's probably interesting, and then we can see what are some of these other things. So ogni55.ru, vk.com has an ogni55, so I would bet that this is probably a brand that's being targeted. Let's go look at, have we seen the site fingerprint? No, we've not seen that one before. Have we seen the links? We've not seen the links before. Have we seen the destinations? We've not seen the destinations before. So this is a pretty unique thing that might be the first time that we've seen it. So we know vk.com is not particularly exciting to look at in this case. Let's pivot on this ogni55.ru, which is probably, again, a brand. Seems like this was actually first searched when we just submitted it. So this might be a completely new thing in our system, which is pretty exciting. Let's see if we have any other links that are useful here. So Instagram, okay, OGNI55 Fire Show. We got partner ads. Okay, so pretty clear that there's something at least interesting here. This is very likely something that I would want to pay attention to a little bit closer. Of course, we can see what we got over here. So we got all sorts of different things. I really don't want to click on any of these for a bunch of different reasons, but that makes me very suspicious right here, this one. So private payment institution. This one's definitely probably interesting. So more work to be done to dig into this one. But I think I'm going to stop there today because I think this is a good stopping point. We found some really interesting stuff. So to wrap up, we first introduced tagging and explained why it's different than some human going and tagging something, whether it's in an automated way or not. System does it for you. Showed you how to add new tags, showed you how to look at our open source repositories that collect different tags associated with hunting scenarios, with attack scenarios, and so on, with the goal of that being a future way to identify phishing kits or other kinds of templates that are interesting. And then we actually dug into a handful of examples, connected them, added a new tag to find a new C2 portal, and really expanded out on a bunch of different things, culminating in potentially finding a new attack against a brand that may or may not be called OGNI55 and maybe a Russian brand. So really interesting stuff. I think this was a really exciting opportunity to work through the system. And if you have questions or you want to start using this, please go ahead and reach out. We will make the Base Investigator basic accounts very, very cheap. So it would be very easy for you to sign up and start using this to hunt, find new things, add to your threat intelligence teams, and really get going. All right, with that, cheers, and I'll see